This conference will now be recorded.
The day one session will be around the basic fundamentals, what exactly PowerShell is, and what is the script editor, script extension, and what is PowerShell ISC app. Okay, so we'll have a overview around the PowerShell. The next day we'll talk about the help system, which is a very powerful tool for anyone who is working on PowerShell. Okay, they will talk about the providers and the file system handling and how the WS man, these kind of how we handle these things. Then we'll move on to the pipelines where we will have execution of multiple commandlets together, and we'll also see how to pass, how to do some prediction and all those stuff. Okay, we'll talk about the objects later. Then we'll move on to the fundamental elements behind getting into the next level of scripting, right? So we'll talk about variables, array, and hash. This might be a kind of known thing for many of us, but still, like we'll discuss around the basics on this particular list here. We'll talk about hash tables, system variables, and so on. Then we'll talk about how to provide input and output to the PowerShell system. Then we'll also talk about remoting. Okay, how do we manage the data local to the system, and how we can remotely query the data from other systems in the network. Okay, then we will talk about how we can secure the connections and what are the execution policies that are available. And when we are working on scripts which are in the remote system, how we can secure our connections. Next, we'll get into the remoting part. We'll talk about one-to-one remoting, one-to-many remoting, and we'll talk about implicit and explicit remoting. Then we will move on to the expressions. What are the different expressions we have? And then the different modules that are readily available. And we'll also see how we can create our own modules. This is where we get into the advanced scripting. So the basic scripting will be available from module 11, and from module 14 it is actually advanced level of scripting. Then we'll talk about advanced PowerShell techniques, some of the tools that are there, how we can integrate with Excel, Outlook, and how we can handle the PowerShell executions. Then we'll talk about the commandlets that are available in the marketplace, and finally we'll talk about Power CLI, which is related to VMware, and we'll also talk about some techniques, tricks, and so on. Yeah, any questions on that? So we have got 10 modules to cover, sorry, 20 modules to cover, and we'll try and cover this by 9 to 10 weeks. That's our plan. So we generally cover it between 8 to 9 weeks, but sometimes if the interaction is more, maybe we might need one more additional week to cover it. So this will be a weekend session only on Saturdays and Sundays from 4 to 6:30 p.m. in IST. Okay, so let's start. Okay, I'm also having Napoleon is also a co-trainer here, so he's one of the primary trainer. So he has got around 15 years of experience in more than 15 years of experience in IT industry. Okay, we actually worked together during our HP tenure. So we actually worked from 2008 to 2015 or 16, I don't recall. But again, we worked together in HP for some time, and now he has moved to different organization, and he has actually worked in different locations in Malaysia, Singapore, before he came back to India in joining another organization. So maybe a quick introduction, Napoleon, that will help. Yeah.
Sure, Stan. So, hi all.
Yeah.
Good evening. So my name is Sadakya Napoleon. You can call me Napoleon. So I have almost 16 years of experience in total, having scripting experience and also orchestration, DevOps, so all those platforms. So currently I'm managing automation team across the unit. Okay, so having said that, so having a lot of experience with the PowerShell scripting, other scripting languages like Bash, Perl, Python, and okay, yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
PowerShell, yeah. So it's not only for Windows side, so can use across the infrastructure. Yeah. Yes, done.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Napoleon, for the introduction. So I think the team will benefit from your experience. So I think let's start. Okay, so okay, when it comes to PowerShell, okay, many of us have a different understanding around PowerShell. They think PowerShell is just a scripting language, or it's just a basic command line interface to deal with the system. But in reality, okay, PowerShell, you can take it in multiple aspects. See, PowerShell is primarily now an open source tool. Initially, it was part of your Microsoft Windows operating system, but then now, recently, what Microsoft did, it has given that tool as an open source. Now anyone can go and utilize that tool even in your non-Windows operating system. So now it is available for Linux, Mac, and you can run that PowerShell in non-Windows platform also. So we have got, see, when you see the name Windows PowerShell, that is pre-installed in your operating system. But whatever we are primarily going to discuss is Microsoft PowerShell, which is OS agnostic, or which can be installed in any platform. Okay, so PowerShell is now a kind of tool set which is cross-platform, and it is also a scripting language. Okay, so let me just try to see where exactly the sound is coming from. I'll mute this line. Your audio is very much, you're able to hear you very much, Vijay. Okay, I'll mute your line for now. Okay. So, yeah, it is again an integrated scripting environment where you can run scripts, where you can go and debug scripts. So, even PowerShell has given an additional tool which is called integrated scripting environment. So, in the latest versions on non-Windows operating system, we also have options to go and debug the script. But mostly we have Visual Studio Code, which can do that as well. Okay, so PowerShell, it's not just a command line interface. Okay, it has got much more to do. Okay, it is a modern command shell that can do whatever you can do in your shell scripting. Here, PowerShell also works pretty much similar to some of the other shell. Like here, whatever you deal with, it is all .NET objects. Anything that you give as an input or take as an output, everything is an object in PowerShell. Okay, so just for your understanding, okay, so it's a cross-platform tool. It's a scripting language. It's an automation platform where you can automate a lot of activities like patching, some kind of scheduled alerting, some kind of scheduled task. All those things can be automated using PowerShell. Even it has got a lot of modules for third party and even Microsoft products like Active Directory, SCCM, and SCVM, VMM, and other things. Even Hyper-V, a lot of modules are there. So we'll also see how we can work along with those modules and how we can execute those commandlets at a later point of time. And it can also be integrated with a lot of orchestration tools. So Napoleon has integrated PowerShell with multiple tools. Like yes, he has got a very vast experience in working with VMware, VRO, HVOO. He has worked on VRA. He has worked on Ansible. So he has got a lot of skills around this orchestration integration platform. Even you can use PowerShell as a configuration management tool. There is a framework called PowerShell DSC, through which you can have your environment, or you can also have the desired state in your configuration for your environment. Okay, so a lot of advantages are there around PowerShell. Okay, it has got tab completion, command prediction, and a lot of powerful options which you can leverage. We'll see all those things. So this is just a heads up. Okay, so many of us have a kind of wrong understanding that PowerShell is just a scripting tool where we can execute it in command line, but it is more than that. It can do configuration management, it can do orchestration, it can do deep dive automation, and so on. Okay, even it can be integrated with your Jenkins or any DevOps tool chain like GitLab, or you can integrate with your Atlassian tools. And you can also manage both on-premises environment as well as public cloud. So you can use PowerShell to integrate with that tool chain. Okay, with that, I think we can talk about the PowerShell installation. Any questions on the core concepts? So the next 20 modules, it will all revolve around this. Okay, we'll be talking about what exactly these different activities. Okay, so when it comes to installation, as I told you, in your Microsoft Windows, okay, you have a pre-installed version. Okay, so that pre-installed version is just a second. That pre-installed version actually is known as Windows PowerShell, and that is actually getting deprecated, or there is no new releases or new version that will be available for your Windows PowerShell. But instead, Microsoft has released just it is called Microsoft PowerShell. There is no Windows in between, like your Azure. It was initially released as Windows Azure, then they changed it to Microsoft Azure. Similarly, we had Windows PowerShell part of your OS, but now it is a separate tool by itself, like it is no more attached to the name Windows. So when you see Microsoft PowerShell, it is the separate downloadable tool which can be installed on any of your platforms like your Windows, Linux, and Mac. Okay, so there are various ways you can go and download the package. So generally, if you want to install the PowerShell on the client operating system, like your Windows 10 or Windows 11 or Windows client operating system, we generally use the winget command. Okay, winget command is more suitable for your Windows client, whereas the Microsoft installer package, the MSI package, it is what we generally do for any server edition or any of your enterprise deployment scenarios. We go and use the Microsoft installer package, the MSI package. The zip package, it contains the uh, to code for some of your non Windows full edition. There are some editions like Windows IoT or Windows Nano Server or some ARM based Windows systems are there, right? For those, we generally use the zip package where we need to go and install or sideload multiple versions. So this zip package is useful for that. Okay, .NET Global Tool, it is mainly for developers, okay, not for us. So whoever is coming from development background, for the .NET developers, they can go and download the .NET Global Tool, which can help them to do some kind of programming and integration to their Visual Studio, or a lot of other .NET framework integration can be done. Okay, this is mainly for the developers. The last one is again, it is a very easy thing. You can go to the Microsoft Store, like your App Store in your mobile. You can go and install the Microsoft Store version of package, but it has got a lot of limitation. But you can definitely execute a lot of commands, but a lot of orchestrations, a lot of integration with third-party tools. There are some limitation with Microsoft Store. So in a nutshell, okay, when you want to install PowerShell on your server operating system, you have to download the MSI package and you have to install the Microsoft installer package. The MSI stands for Microsoft Installer. So MSI package is the executable package that you need to install. Okay, and when it comes to releases, okay, there are multiple releases that are available in the portal. Okay, so if you just go to your website, let me try to share my screen here. Just a second. Is my screen still visible? I have just opened my Chrome browser.
Still able to view only PPT.
Is it okay? Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay, fine. So here, if I go to the portal and then try out the releases, so there are a lot of releases that are available. I'll try and open up this PowerShell release. You can directly go and check out in Google search, but then I'm just tagging the stable releases here. Okay, let's see. So if you look at the latest releases, if you go to github.com/PowerShell, you will find out all the releases that are available for download. And within that, you have different categories. Okay, so you've got stable release, you've got long-term release, and you've got preview release. So whatever in your production environment, you always have to download the stable release on your operating system, and you have to install the latest stable release. But if you go to the releases folder, you will see a lot of different versions. Okay, you will see three different categories. One is stable release, the other one is the preview release. Preview release will have a lot of new fixes and a lot of new features and stuff, but then there won't be support for those preview categories. Okay, so preview is something which can be consumed, but only if there is a immediate demand in your environment to use that, or if use that specific module or use that specific fix, you can go and use that preview, or else you have to go with the latest stable release. Always you have to download the latest stable release. The one that we have here is the latest stable release, and which you can download and install on your Windows operating system. So you have different options or different extensions. You can download the zip file, you can download the tar file for your Linux operating systems. If your Linux is ARM32 or ARM64, you can go and download the respective executables. Even you have the RPM and so on. But for Windows, you have to download the .msi file and install it. Okay, so there are three different options: the preview, the long-term release, and the stable release. So always you should go for the stable release in your production environment. Okay, just a second. We'll see the installation. It is pretty straightforward. We'll see it in some time. But now let's talk about some history around the PowerShell. Let me share back my screen here. So, as I told you, the PowerShell version started getting released from 2006, where we had the initial PowerShell 1.0 version. But from 1.0, see that all the PowerShell releases are tied to your .NET framework. So whenever there is a new release of .NET framework, even the PowerShell version will be tightly together with your .NET framework. Even this PowerShell is more of an object-oriented tool, so it has close relationship with your .NET framework. Okay, even there is a PowerShell core version that is actually built on top of your .NET Core framework. So this was actually released in version 6.0. Okay, in 2018 there was a new release called PowerShell Core, but this was not intended to be a replacement for your Windows PowerShell, because this was targeted to be a more for your core operating systems or limited GUI version of operating system. And again, this PowerShell Core was released to support the cross-platform. It will support Windows, Linux, and MacBook, and there is no reboot installation. There is no reboot needed, and it was very powerful. The PowerShell Core was actually released as an open source, but it was not intended to replace the inbuilt Windows PowerShell. But then now Microsoft made a decision to release something called Microsoft PowerShell, which is a kind of release which is going to replace the inbuilt version of PowerShell. Okay, so after version 5.1, after 2016, there was no new releases for Windows PowerShell. Okay, so later after 2020, they have started releasing PowerShell 7, and within that there are some major minor versions here. So 7 is the major version, and you have got 7.3, which is the minor version. So this was released this year actually. Okay, so you can see that Microsoft PowerShell has got a lot of hybrid management options, and it is actually a full-blown tool. You can also use it as a partial CLI version, or you can also use it as a full-blown tool. You can also integrate with your Visual Studio to use it for your DevOps team and so on. Okay, so let's see. So here, if you look at the comparison, okay, 7.3 is supported on all the latest server operating systems like 2016, 2019, and 2022. And if you look at here, the latest version will not be supported on the older operating systems like the server 2008 or 2012 or Windows 8.1. It won't support that. It will support only the latest client operating system as well as the latest server operating system. Okay, so in Jan 2022, 7.3 was released as a preview, but then now it has been it is readily available to be consumed by the general public. So it is actually built on .NET version 7.0. Okay, so .NET 7.0 is the backend framework behind PowerShell 7.0 series. If there is a question, you can ask.
What is LTS stand?
Sorry, what is
LTS?
Long-term release.
Okay.
Yeah, it's long-term release. Yeah, yeah, long-term release, and that is what that is also something which can be used. So long-term release will be there for some time where you will get a support, extended support as well. So we can also go for long-term release, but generally we go for stable release, which is proven actually. Okay, so this is the quick history of PowerShell. Initially, it was a closed source product. It was part of your Windows operating system. It was not available as an open source product. But after 2016, when PowerShell Core was released in version 6.0, it is now an open source product which can be used on, which can be installed on any operating system that is available. Okay, you can see after the PowerShell core was released, okay, the usage of PowerShell has started increasing. So until that time, you can see the bash shell and the command prompt was heavily used. But then after PowerShell core was introduced, the usage of PowerShell tool has become very popular because people from Linux background and other operating systems, they also started consuming the PowerShell tool because it has been allowed to be installed on Linux and MacBook. Okay, so maybe if you want to take over, Napoleon, you can take over. Yeah, I'll stop my sharing here.
Yes, sure, sir. Yeah. Okay. So said by Stan, so PowerShell is purely based on the .NET framework. So it comes with the .NET. It comes with the OS, right? So when you check the software, so the .NET framework will be available by default. So whatever the version available, so the corresponding version will be available at the machine. So we have desktop OS and also server OS, right? So both Windows PowerShell available on the machines. So PowerShell is a kind of advanced command prompt. So if you see, yeah, it's based on the commandlets. So it's having a lot of commandlets. So based on the PowerShell version, uh, so a lot of commands available. So for example, if you have PowerShell version 2.0, it has minimal commandlets. So commandlets is nothing but is kind of function. Okay, so it's verb hyphen noun format. So it's on the behind there's a function available. If you use that command, it will invoke the function and it will give the value on the screen. So let me share my screen. All right. So PowerShell is mainly based on the .NET framework, as I said before. So it's when you check the Windows server, it comes with the default. So if you are going to work on the any Linux flavor OS or Mac OS, so you have to install. So as Stan said, you have to download and you can install the files. So for we are going to use ISC for writing the script. So ISC is nothing but integrated scripting environment. So on the Windows, if you search with the PowerShell, you can able to find four options. So one with Windows PowerShell ISC, and the third one is Windows PowerShell 86, 32-bit, and also ISC with the 32-bit. So we have four options available if you find on the machine, Windows machine. So basically, the PowerShell is the advanced command prompt. So if you open that command prompt, it will be shown in the blue color, right? So you can type command, you can able to find out the output on the screen itself. It's kind of advanced command prompt. But when it comes to if you are writing a code to develop some scripting, if you have to implement some logic, so you need a editor, right? So on the editor side, you can make use of the default ISE, PowerShell ISE. So ISE is nothing but integrated scripting environment. Okay, so otherwise, we have other options as well. So instead of using ISE, if you are using some other platform, you can make use of Visual Studio Code. So in the Visual Studio Code, how we can able to use PowerShell? So I will show it to you. Right, I have Visual Studio Code. Can you able to see my screen, right?
Yes, yes, I could. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so in the new text file, so you have option to select a language. So in that you can type PowerShell. Since I already did this once, so that's why it's coming with the PowerShell extension. Okay, so now it's coming. Okay, so here if you execute the command, for example, I'm executing the services command, so it will give the result here. So if you want to write the code here, you can type it here. So if you are saving the PowerShell, okay, so if you type here, you will be able to find the list of commandlets here, right? So this is called Intellisense. So automatically, what are the modules and commands available on my system? It will show here. Okay, so if I'm executing, I can type F5 for execution. So this is one way of I can use Visual Studio Code for editor purpose. So on the other way, you can make use of PowerShell ISE. If you type ISE, you can able to find Windows PowerShell ISE app. So here, if you see, it's kind of editor, as I said. So it comes with the file, default file. So here you can able to edit the you can type the code here, and if you want to check the result, you can able to check here on the bottom of the command. So these options is if you want to change the alignment, you can make use of this one. And also, if you want to check how many commands are available, if you want to search particular command, you can make use of show command add-on. So you have to click this one. Then you can able to find the list of modules available on the machines. So on the other hand, if you are checking, if some machines you are using, so at the time the IS is not visible to you, then what you have to do is you have to check the Windows feature and you have to enable the PowerShell. Sometimes what happens for the security reason, the ISC might be disabled, so you have to enable the features, Windows features. So the command, basically the list of commands is showing is by default, which I am having. Suppose if you're installing a particular application, for example, AD servers and also SCOM server, SCCM server, other, if you have some other .NET related, Microsoft related products, so then you can able to find the product related PowerShell commands. For example, if you are working on, if you going to work on AD related commands, then if you check the AD servers, you can able to find the AD related PowerShell commands. Okay, so and also if you want to install, if you want to check the version of the PowerShell on the machine, you can check with the dollar PS version table. So if you want to check the current versions available on the machine, you can use $PS version table. This is called automatic variable on the PowerShell. So it's if you want to check the version, you have to use $PS version table. So it will give all the information. The main information which we supposed to check is PS version, PowerShell version. So this system has 5.1. So if you want to upgrade the PowerShell, you have to download and you have to upgrade the PowerShell instance. Okay, so on the other hand, it's showing the list of information related with the PowerShell, the compatible version. Since it's a 5, so it will support the previous versions, and also the build version, so CLR version. So it's based on the .NET framework, right? So the CLR mean cross language, that common language runtime actually. So in .NET it supports multiple languages, more than it supports more than 44 languages. So each language having its different kind of syntax, right? So if you want to machine supposed to understand the code, so then the CLR will convert all those syntax, all those code into managed code. So once it comes to the general managed code, the then machine will understand the code and it will execute. So this is kind of a .NET framework related thing. So this PowerShell, having a CLR version 4, and WSMan is PS remoting is mainly used for the remoting, PowerShell remoting. So we will learn PowerShell remoting later. Actually. So serialization version. So serialization also comes with the remoting. So serialization means converting a variable into the object. Okay, so so if you want to check the PowerShell version, you have to use PS version table, $PS version table. Right. Okay, so suppose I have a code, the PowerShell, the file extension should be PS1. So even if you are typing, if you are using, Visual Studio Code, when you are typing the code and if you are going to save the file, you have to use .ps1 as the extension. So then only the it will taken as a PowerShell script. So PowerShell script always comes with the .ps1 file. So if you are having a module, so the module file should be PSM1 file. So we can learn about module at that point of time. So currently we will learn about the basics. Okay. So let's see about how to run the code using the PowerShell ISE. So I have a code. For example, I just used get service as a command to get the list of services, and also I used some. Okay, I will create your own script for now for understanding purpose. Okay. So don't get it into deep. So I just created this one to to understand how to debug the code using ISC, how to execute all those things.
Yeah, as usual, if you have any questions at any point of time, you can interrupt and ask questions. Okay, that is the reason we have live online session. Okay, if you have any questions, interrupt and ask the questions immediately. So, see, here we are just starting with the basics, right? What are the commands? What are the different options available to interact? So, from the next session onwards, we'll get into the actual commands and a little more details. Okay, so the basic installation and all those things, we can do it, but again, it is pretty straightforward. Okay, so you can also try doing that installation in case you want to do it. Okay, so ask questions in case you have something.
Yep. Okay. So for the execution, so once you created open a new file and you typed your script, so you can make use of F5. So or else you can click here for full execution. So if you type F5 or click, run script, click on the run script, it will execute the entire line of code, from the file. Okay, so if I run here, it will run the entire file. But suppose if you want to run a particular line of code, the selected line of code. Okay, so I selected this one, and if I need to run only this selected item, then I can click here. Or else the short form is F8. So for full execution, we have to use. So F5 is for full execution. So whatever content available on this file, it will execute. So F8 is for selected execution. So whatever you are selected, so whatever you can select multiple lines as well. So you can select multiple lines. Whatever you selected, it will execute once you click the F8 or this option, selected run selection option. Okay, so if you want to check or troubleshoot something, so you have to uh, you have to save the file first. Since if you are not saving, so you could not able to troubleshoot using the breakpoints. So if I right click, you can able to find this option, right? So the toggle breakpoint. So whenever you have something to check whether the line is getting the right result or not. So you have to check something on the code. So you have to put the breakpoint, and you have to run, and you can make able to find out the result. Uh, but the breakpoint will work, will be enabled once you save the file. So I haven't saved this file, so that's why it's not enabled. So if I am saving the file, I saved as a test ps1. So now I am can able to find toggle breakpoint. So the toggle breakpoint, whenever you need to stop the execution.
Sorry to interrupt. Can you show me how you saved it?
Okay, so there is an option here for the save, or else you can click Control S. So here you can able to save. You click save file, you can able to get the pop-up, or else it's available. You can, the short form is Control S, or else you can able to find in file tab, save. If you want to save, it's kind of test notepad, right? So on the notepad editor you can find, save, find all those options. It is similar. So I just saved using shortcut Control S. But if you want to save, you can be able to make use of Control S short form, or else you can go File and save. And also we have it in menu itself, save script. You can click this one, you can able to save it. Okay, so once I saved, I can able to the breakpoint got enabled. So the breakpoint is when it's secured if you want to troubleshoot something. So for example, if we have 100 lines of code, but some logic is not working, if you want to check what's the variable is getting, what the command is getting the output, so whether you are passing the right values or any other mistake happened. So if you want to check on those logical parts, so you can you can uh, put the breakpoint on those lines, and you can check it troubleshoot manually. So when you toggle break, we have to set the toggle breakpoint first. So on the right side, right click and then toggle breakpoint, or else you can use F9. Set breakpoint. Okay, so once you set breakpoint, so you can run the full execution, I mean run script. So if you click F5 or run script, so it will execute the entire script, right? So at that time, it will stop execution. When it comes to the breakpoint. So I have set the breakpoint on the line number 4. So once it's reached the execution reached line number 4, it stops the execution. And also, if we check the command prompt, the mode has been changed to debugging, DBG, which means debugging. So it's changed to debugging mode. Now you can able to get the value when you using the mouse. If you move the cursor, you can able to find the values. Or else you can able to find the values in the command prompt. So if I'm typing what is there in the variable, you can able to find it. Okay, now I'm getting this one. Even if you mouse cursor also, you can able to get the same value. So some case if you're not getting the value when during the mouse cursor, so you can type the variable, you can able to fetch the result. So you can apply multiple breakpoint as well. So whenever you want to stop the execution for debugging, you can make use of toggle breakpoint, and you have to run the full execution. Once it reaches to the breakpoint, the execution will be stopped and the mode will be changed to debugging. So on the and also if you want to execute line by line after the breakpoint, so suppose I don't have anything after the line number 5, but if you want to run line by line, so this is kind of loop. You can learn about loop and variables in later classes. But if you want to run next line and next line one by one, so we have to use F11. So like if you are using F11, it will execute line by line. Okay. So for line by line execution, you can make use of F11. So F11 will be worked, it will work only you set the breakpoint. So it will be in debug mode, it will work actually. Suppose you verified the issue and you fixed it, you find out the issues using the troubleshoot, debugging method. So on that case, so if you want to stop the execution, you can stop, or else you can run it with the full execution F5. So if you want to disable the breakpoint also, you can able to disable actually. Okay, any questions?
No questions.
Okay. Okay, so for the execution, full execution, you have to use F5. Or else you have option on the ISE. For selected execution also, you can use F8. Options are also available. For setting the breakpoint, you can right click and use toggle breakpoint, or else you can use F9 on the lines which you want to stop the execution for debugging. So if you want to execute line by line, you can make use of F11. Okay, right. All right. Okay. So PowerShell on the as you know, PowerShell CF scripting language is based on the OOPS concept. So it's mean object-oriented programming. Okay. So on the OOPS, it's a kind of object, right? So everything is considered as an object. So object means, for example, we take table is an object, car is an object. So whatever you see, is an object. Okay, so each object having its own properties and methods. Okay, so but it's nothing like programming languages like C, C++, Java, but this is scripting language, something different. But the main, main core will be taken from the OOPS concept. Okay, so basically, if you going to create a script, so you want to perform some automation task, whatever you are doing as an administrator. So you need a few things. So one is dedicated machines. So either development machines, UAT machine, or test machines. Okay. So you have so when it comes to automation, you need something. You need the list of items. So development or test machines to supposed to run the you have to develop the code and have to run the code, right? So and also the machine supposed you have the full admin access. So we need a server for the development, and you need a admin access. Since some of the thing if you are a user, you don't have access to perform it, right? So when it comes to automation, you need a full control of it. Then only you can able to achieve whatever you are doing manually. So and the third one, service account. So why we need service account? Suppose if you are performing something on the multiple machines. So for either for automation, we need a service account to perform something. Then only we know uh, you know if you are using your own account, it might be a problem, right? So if you are using a service account with the high privileges, you can perform anything. And also if the audit purpose also, you can able to find out if anything happened, so which account caused the issue. and also service account having email ID for sending email. You can make use of the email for the centralized service account. Okay, so why we need automation? So whatever you are doing manually, and so it's it's time consuming. So automation checklist. So you need a development server for the automation and also admin access to that server, service account. So those information you need when you are developing the code. Okay. So and also the why we need automation. So the automation is mainly used to reduce the manual errors and also the human errors. Right. So the first one is time save. So if you are performing something for if you are doing a reporting, monthly report or weekly report or daily report, so you are performing, you are getting some information from the service note ticket, and you are comparing something, and you are counting, you are manipulating something using Excel sheet, but it takes almost 1 hour. But if you are using PowerShell script, you can able to achieve it in 1 or 2 minutes. So if you compare with the manual execution with the automation, so you can get the time savings, right? So one of the big benefits is time saving, and also if you you are performing something, for example, you are getting a request instant like McAfee service, got stopped. But unfortunately, instead of McAfee, if you are, you stopped, you started something else, then it's a human error, right? So at that time, so if you are using fully automated solution like fetching the ticket from the service now using PowerShell, we have option to fetch these incident details and other details as well using PowerShell, web related automation. So we can learn later about that. But having said that, you can fetch the information from the incident, and you can find out the service, which service you need to start. You can find the service status before starting. So whether it is already started or if it's already stopped, then you can find out first. And once you verified using the script, and you can change the perform the remediation within the script. So once remediation completed, you can again check the status, so whether it's started successfully or not. Once started, then you can update the logs on the incident, and you can close the incident. So it's kind of end to end without any manual intervention, right? So at the time, there is no possibility of any human errors. So we can avoid human errors actually. Okay, so when it comes to time savings and all, I see FTE reduction, right? So can reduce the whatever you have planned or the your working day-to-day activities, you can able to reduce the manual works. And also we have a lot of benefits when it comes to standardization, standardization, and also for compliance, audit. So all those things you can able to achieve it. Okay. Okay, so from PowerShell point of view, you can manage from one machine to multiple server. Is it's not only for the Windows admin, it's for the multiple track also we can make use of, since PowerShell is voice independently for now after 6.0. So the latest version and all you can make use of it for Mac, Linux flavors as well. So whatever you supposed to perform on the OS admin level, you can able to achieve it, and also for some other track like storage, backup, database. monitoring, even other track as well. You can make use of PowerShell. So for example, when it comes to storage, so NetApp is a product, right? So we have PowerShell commandlets for NetApp. Okay, so if you have the commandlets, if you have the how to use those command and how to fetch the result and how to manipulate the result using the scripting, so then you can able to automate the storage bugs, right? So on the so if you have some task related to the storage, you can automate it. You can use PowerShell for backup tools. So database has for also for MS SQL, right? So MS SQL is again Microsoft product. So whatever you are using Microsoft product, the default by default the PowerShell commandlets will be available. So for your server, if it is not available, you can download. You can install the corresponding module, and you can make use of commandlets for your task. So for the MS SQL, if you want to execute a query, if you want to manage the capacity, if you want to fetch something from the database, so you can use PowerShell script to perform that one. And also for monitoring, you can use of SCUM. By using SCUM, we have operations manager module, PowerShell module. So you can whatever you are performing in the SCUM, you can make use of PowerShell. For example, one of the task, if you are doing change management, so at the time you supposed to put the server in the maintenance mode, right? So you can perform the entire activity using the PowerShell script. So if you want to add the server into maintenance mode, you can call that corresponding commandlet. You can perform it. So at what time we have to put the server into maintenance mode, and then you can perform the activity using the script. So even the full entire end-to-end patching also you can perform using PowerShell scripts. There are a lot of options, lot of tasks we can perform. So I'm just explaining each track how we can leverage PowerShell script. So for SCCM, it's mainly used for the configuration management, right? So patching and also we are, if you are using SCCM, you can make use of SCCM commandlets for automating SCCM. So whatever you're doing SCCM, you can use PowerShell as well. Okay, so on the cloud also you have options. So for the cloud, everything, if you see Azure, right? So it's a Microsoft one. So we have Azure CLI. So the corresponding PowerShell command are available to connect the Azure accounts and Azure, compute storage. So everything you can able to automate it from PowerShell. PowerShell actually. So from PowerShell, you can connect the Azure. You can create a ARM template. So ARM related activities you can perform. Okay, so we have a lot of options within the PowerShell for the cloud automation. Okay, any questions till now?
No questions, Pauline.
Okay.
Yeah, no questions. So earlier, as you perform the script writing, so like how, because we are like we don't know basic knowledge about script writing, so how can we
Okay.
start from scratch like that?
Yeah. Okay.
Because
So
like syntax.
yeah. Okay. I got it. I got your question. So so we are going to start from the scratch only. Okay, so whatever I'm telling is, kind of, use case, and once you learned everything, during the class, you can able to achieve this one actually. Since we are going to start from the scratch, so as we discussed about few things. Since most of them not they are not a developer, right? So since that's why we are going to start from the scratch. So what is commandlet? So how to use commandlets? What is the syntax? So all those things we can learn from the scratch only. So don't worry right now. I'm just whatever we are discussing today is kind of high level,
Good,
and,
thank you.
and also it's sort of introduction only. So from next class only we are going to start from the scratch.
Sure, sure. I got you. Thanks.
Okay. Okay then. So we'll take 10 minutes break and then we'll start the class again. Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. So any doubt or any clarification from the starting session? Okay. I think no. Okay. So since this is the first intro class, we supposed to learn about what is PowerShell. So what is the what is automation? So what is the purpose of automation? So how do we use PowerShell? So what are the versions? How to check the versions? What is the editor we can use? So this is pretty much about the PowerShell and automation stuff. So it's a kind of theory and also how to install all those stuff, basic information. Okay, so from next class onwards, we learn about the scratch from the PowerShell. From ABC actually. Okay. All right. So yeah, I think we covered about PowerShell versions. What's the latest version is 7.2, 7.3. Okay. Yeah. So if you want to find the version, you can have to use $PS version table to find the version. So if you want to upgrade, you can download the latest version. You can upgrade actually. So the download version, is wise independent, right? So you can download for Windows, Linux, and also for Mac. So and also for if for the editor, you can make use of PowerShell ISC or else Visual Studio Code. PowerShell ISC or else Visual Studio Code. So for Visual Studio Code, we have to select the language as PowerShell. So once you select the PowerShell, it will be enabled the PowerShell, in the Visual Studio Code. So as I said in the ISC, let me share my entire screen. Okay, so okay, so in the ISC also, if you type something, it will give the entire result. If you type ISC, you can able to find ISC. So if you are going to run some commands, so always I recommend to use run as administrator. So as I said before, if you are an admin, then only you can perform whatever you're doing in the day-to-day operations. Since if you are changing some group policy and all, it requires admin access, and also if you are installing something, the PowerShell module, some other packages. So you need admin access to perform, right? So on that time, if you are, launch the ISE with the admin privileges, you can able to perform. Otherwise, it will ask you for, it will show you it could not be performed due to access, admin access privileges. Okay, so here if I'm typing something, get hyphen, so it will show the list of options, right? So whatever start with the get hyphen, it's showing here. So this is called, Intellisense. And also if I'm typing something and before completion, it's showing the options, right? So that's called Intellisense. The Intellisense, if it is not working in the ISE, you have to click, you have to go edit, and you have to click start Intellisense. The shortcut is for Intellisense is control plus space. So I typed GE and then typing control space, I can able to find whatever start from the GE. Okay. The most important thing in the PowerShell is help system. So we can learn on the help system in detail next class. But to give the highlights, so the help system will help you to learn about the list of commands and list of how to use that command with the syntax, and it will provide the parameters. So what is parameter and how to use the parameters? So and also aliases. So all those information it will give. So on the high level, if you the parameter is kind of input values which will accept the commandlet. So in this scenario, I will explain something so that you can understand a little bit. Okay, so as I said, PowerShell is based on the .NET framework, and it's a object oriented, not with the text oriented. It's based on the object oriented. So for a few scripting language, as is based on the text, TXT, text based. For example, Python is a text based, but here PowerShell is based on the object oriented. Okay, so what is object? So in the real world, everything is considered as a object, right? Okay, so if you want to understand, for example, I'm taking car as an object. Okay, so if anyone used .NET for developing a application, web or Windows, or writing a code, or anyone come from the programming languages, I mean development background? Okay, so I guess it's no, right? Okay, let me explain in detail what is object, what is within the object and all. Okay, so it's not required to understand fully, but the information which I'm going to give is for the just conceptual understanding. So it's not required for pure scripting. So I'm car is an object. Okay, so in the .NET demo, structure will be like this: namespace, classes, okay, classes, okay. Within the classes, we might have functions and methods. So consider this way. So the .NET framework might be this kind of so namespace is a main thing. So the namespace we might have multiple classes. So for example, class I'm giving name as class table something. So here within the namespace we might have multiple classes. So each class having its own properties and the functions. That's okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. So within the namespace, so we might have multiple classes. So classes is a is a object. I'm giving the object name as a class. I'm considering class as an object. So for I created one more class in the namespace, same namespace. So each class having multiple functions and properties. So this is kind of syntax we follow in .NET. So why I'm saying this one, how to relate this one in Powershell means this is the structure of the information, the system information we need to. So if you want to get something, you have to get the properties, you have to get the you can invoke the methods for the particular class. So what is property? So for example, car is an object. So property is a read-only information, which means you can't change the property. Property might have system-defined property and also user-defined property. You can't change the system-defined property, but you can create your own property. Okay. So properties value you can able to fetch it. Only you can able to read only. You can able to fetch it as well. For example,
Napoleon, sorry to interrupt. I think your audio is not clear to us.
yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, better now.
Okay. So where you can able to hear actually? So on which section? From the beginning of the session, or just now you are not able to hear?
No, this is okay. Now we are not. I mean, we can hear that, hear the voice,
Oh,
but it's not about very clear actually. That's why.
okay. Yeah.
You can explain from the namespace, like two classes, right?
Namespace.
From there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Or else,
Okay, so
if you can, if you have the similar script which you can compare with this, that would be better for us understanding.
okay, so this is kind of concept, but we don't have the similar structure in PowerShell actually. So for
Okay.
example, namespace class, we are not going to use, this is kind
Yeah.
of, we're not going to use in PowerShell, but at the concept, how the data will be fetched, something this is the backend, not we are going to use in PowerShell at the script level. So if you understand, if you know the, .NET, this is kind of .NET code actually. But we are not directly using the .NET code. We are just extracting information from the .NET file.
Understood.
Okay. Yep. So the namespace is the primary one. So under the namespace only we have classes. You can have multiple classes within the namespace. And also each class having its own methods and functions. Sorry, methods and functions are same. Own function methods and properties. So for example, I am considering car as an object. So property means we have two different properties. One is system defined properties and user defined properties. So you can't change the system defined properties, right? So for example, I'm taking car as an object, right? So for the car object, the model number we can't change, and also the number of wheels, number of tires. So it's already defined. You can't change. And also the color. Okay, so this is something you can't change. So whatever you supposed to fetch, you can fetch it. If you want to fetch the model of your car, you can able to fetch it. If you want to fetch the color of the car, you can able to fetch it. So you just fetch the information from the car object. Okay, but you can't alter anything. Okay, so and on the other case, methods or functions. So the method is an action to perform on the objects. So for example, I consider the car as an example, right, for the object. So whatever action I can perform on the car, start the car, stop the car, brake, you know, this is kind of action I can perform on the car object, right? So I am just performing this kind of actions on the car object. So this is called methods. So some methods or some functions might require some inputs. Okay, so for example, if I'm going to start, what I need a key. Then only I can able to start, right? So so which mean I need to pass the key, then only it will start. So some function or method is defined with the without any input it will run. For example, if you are going to get some information, just you can use the method, some method, it won't get anything. So let me explain it this way. How many of you heard void? Have you heard or used before void?
I think that
Does
will be
not
used
return
in
any.
C language.
Yeah, it's used in C, C++, Java, all those languages you can use this way. And so this is it's a data type void, so does not return any value. So before going to detail, so don't think this is something programming language and very hectic to learn. This is easy. I just explaining this one for the conceptual understanding. Okay, so it's not needed for PowerShell, but for the understanding purpose, I'm explaining this one. Okay. Okay, so does not return any value, which mean you the function is always supposed to return some value. So function means it will return some value. So if you use void before, then it does not return any value. So this is the programming language. So this is standard way. Okay, so for example, I'm giving one more example. I'm creating a class name math. So in Max, I'm going to create a method called add addition. Addition is a method. So addition C equal to A plus B. So here A, B, C and all is a variable. Okay, so if I need to return something, I'm going to return C or print C. I'm printing C. Okay. Okay, so here A and B are two variables which supposed to contain two values. So if I need to execute this one, I need to pass two values in order to perform addition. Am I right? So this is a method or function. I haven't passed any value, but I need to pass any value. I need to give A and B. How to run this method addition? 10, 20. So I am just defining the function here. Here I'm invoking a function. So maths is a class name. So class name dot method name followed by values 10, 20. So if I'm executing this one, it will directly go to the class and then function and then 10 and 20 replaced assigned to A, 10 assigned to A, 20 assigned to B, and within the function 10 plus 20 will be added and saved in C, and it will return C, or it will print the C value. So basically it will return 30. All right. Okay, so hope you understand this logic. Anyone having any doubt? This is a simple class with the simple property and methods. I will explain what is property. So here C, whatever I created a variable, right, is a property. The C is a property and is supposed is does not going to change, and A and B are input parameters. It's a parameters, input parameters. Okay.
Sorry to
So
interrupt. So if it returns,
yeah.
so where will it store the value? We need somewhere to store the value, right?
Oh yeah, it's stored in the C. C is a variable. Will store the result. So what's the question? Where it will store the result, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So it will add two values and store the result in C variable.
No,
So
the one
here
where you
I'm
are calling the function.
okay. So here I'm not storing anything. So if you want to store, you can store it actually. The result equal to, you can store it here like this. And directly calling I haven't stored before, but if you want to store, you can create a variable and store it. Okay. Yeah. So if you see, maths is a class name, addition is a function name, A comma B is a parameter. If I need to run this addition, I need two parameter, then only it will execute correctly. So I am using C as a property to store those two values, and here every function is supposed to return some value. So I am not using any integer. I'm not using any data type here. I'm just printing C. Okay, so from here, what we supposed to know? So if you are creating, so if you are using some object, is supposed to have functions and also properties. Each object contains properties and methods. Functions is also called methods actually. So each class having function properties and methods, and each it's not completely. We need to pass parameters for all the functions. It's based on the method. Either we can pass the parameters, or else we can without parameters also we can. It will work actually. So for example, if I'm using one more method without any parameters, subtraction, I'm not giving any parameter. Without passing anything, whenever it's secured, I directly given the values here. Okay, so in this case, if I need to invoke this, I need to execute this method without passing any parameter. It will execute. It will give the values. Since I already given the values directly and within the method itself. There are two ways. So one is I already given some default value. Whenever the method call, it will execute with the result. And the second one, whenever I'm giving some input, based on the input, dynamic input, it will work and it will give the result. This is a static result and this is the dynamic result. So if you are passing something, it will take and execute. If you're not passing anything, the default value will be execute. That's the thing I want to explain. Got it? Any questions? Just don't assume this is the syntax for PowerShells. This is not a PowerShell. I'm just explaining the concept of class, methods, properties.
Yes, Napoleon, I can understand that, but it would be great if you can compare with the PowerShell and
Okay.
explain these things would be better actually
Okay.
for
So
us because
yeah.
we are not having any background from programming thing.
Okay.
So maybe you
Sure.
can compare
Okay.
the
So
thing.
I
Same things you can get it in the PowerShell as well.
okay. Sure. Okay. So this is the one I will show you to you, but we can learn step by step in the coming class, but I will explain now for your informations. Okay, so get service is a command to get the list of services running on the machine. Okay, so if I execute service get service, it will give the list of services, status, also the status and description. Okay, so we will learn about pipeline, GM, everything in the upcoming classes. So you asked about how it will be in PowerShell. I am just explaining here. Okay, so I'm using this command. I can able to find the list of properties and methods. Whatever you are seeing here with the alias property, event, method. So I said two things, right? So properties and methods.
Now I
So
got
in
it.
PowerShell, yeah, so in the PowerShell, we have a lot of property is defined, but everything is same in on the concept wise. So alias property, everything is property. Even method, function, everything is a method. Okay. So if you see, if you consider service as an object, so the name, service name, is a property. You can't change the service name. Am I right? So whatever it's showed as a property, you can't change it, but you can able to fetch the data. But on the other side, if you consider service an object, what are the action we can perform on the services? We can, refresh the service, you can pause the service, you can start the service, you can stop the services. Am I right? So those are methods. So you are performing some action on the object. That's called method. So to fetch some information, you can make use of property. So get service is a command, is an object, considered as an object. So whatever you are seeing as a property, you can able to fetch it. Whatever you are seeing as a method, you can perform the action into services, onto the services. Okay. Any questions? How we converted this one to how the logic applied here?
Yep, we got it.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep. Yep. So I just explained parameters, right? Some parameters we supposed to give, then only the method will be work properly. Some methods does not require any inputs. So if you want to see, I can see here on the each method, the within the bracket, if it is say empty bracket, then no need to pass anything. But some cases we need to pass. For example, get date. Okay, so in the get date is a command. We can is a it will give the current date. So if you see here, add days. Add days is a method to add some days. So in this method, we need to give values, double value. So double is a data type. So we can learn about variable data type. So all those things we can learn later. Just for the information, these add days will is a method will work only when you are giving some value. So if you are giving 5, it will add 5 days, right? So once you give the value, then only it will take and execute that corresponding method. But some method does not require any value. So get type, within the get type, we don't have anything to pass. It will run. But here within the bracket, we have to pass some value. So here integer, we have to pass numbers, integer numbers. So we can learn about double, what is int, what is long. So all those data type we can learn later. Right. Okay, so any questions?
Yep, no questions. Thanks.
Okay, yeah, thanks. All right, so I just explained here for how the object oriented will work. So this is the same way the data will be stored on the .NET and the PowerShell. We are not going to use this kind of syntax. We use a very simple structure. Um, you know I just explained this one for the concept purpose. So what are the methods, how, without adding, without passing variable, how it will work, and with passing some value, how it will work. So all those, concept I explained here. Okay. So, and also when it comes to PowerShell, is a case insensitive. You can use so you can use caps and small letters. So for example, I am using get hyphen service. I'm using small get hyphen small service. I'm using capital get hyphen service, capital case, capital with small. Okay, so it's not a case sensitive, so you can use whatever you can, cap small you can use. So it will provide the result even if you are using a case. So object oriented case insensitive, and then uh, can use for uh, Windows, Linux, Mac OS, right? Uh, so and then we can make use of PowerShell for multiple tracks, as I said before. Storage, backup, SCOM, SCCM, cloud, lot of platform we can use. Even if you are performing some DevOps platform, you can make use of PowerShell. For example, for CI/CD pipeline, have you heard about CI/CD pipeline?
Yes.
Continuous integration and continuous deployment, right? Okay, so on the CI/CD pipeline, we have configuration management. So in the configuration management, we have a few tools like Ansible, Puppet, Chef, SaltStack. So for the configuration management tool, either we can use PowerShell as a configuration management tool, or else in the DevOps, configuration management tool also we can use PowerShell. For example, in the Ansible playbook, you can integrate PowerShell. We have a lot of modules available for PowerShell. So you can make use of PowerShell script within the Ansible. You can integrate Ansible script itself, or you can invoke the Ansible, PowerShell script within the Ansible playbook. And also the orchestration. So orchestration means. So how many of you used orchestration or heard about orchestration tools? Okay, so we otherwise we realize orchestrator. So it's a VMware product. So Scotch is a system center orchestrator. It's a Microsoft product. So there are a lot of orchestration tools available in the market for the automation purpose. We have those Scotch, HP, OO, IBM also we have some tools and BMC tool BAO I think Atrium Orchestrator BMC Atrium Orchestrator. Yep. So we have a lot of tools actually when it comes to orchestration tools. So within the orchestration tools, it supports some programming language. I mean, scripting language like PowerShell, Bash Shell, Perl, Python, JavaScript as well. So at the PowerShell, it will be integrated with the one of the orchestration tool to perform the end-to-end automation. For example, so if you want to perform automation, you can achieve it in two level. One is semi automation, semi automated solution. So which mean you will create a script bit and piece with some level of manual intervention. Either you have to run the script manually, or you have to pass some information manually. Others, you have to run step-by-step scripting. So you will execute the script and then you perform something manually and then you can execute the script. So this is called a semi-automated solution. And the second thing, without any manual intervention, without any touch point, you can perform the automation. It's called fully automated solution. So in the automation scripting, you can perform two levels, right? So okay, so as I said before, semi-automated solution, you can directly create a PowerShell script, in the PS1 file, right? So PowerShell script. So you can directly create a PowerShell script, write the code, and save the code, and you can share it with the teams for the execution. Whenever there is a requirement, or there is a request, you can find the script and you can execute the script on the machine. Or if you are running from the centralized machine, you can connect the client machine and you can execute this PowerShell script. Okay, so which needs some information basically from the user who is running the script. So if you want to perform something, you have to feed the information on the command prompt. So for example, if you want to check something health check, you can ask the user enter the server name to check. So we need to provide the server name and then it will go and fetch the information. So that's called semi-automated solution. You can make use of scripting itself instead of any tools like orchestration tools or configuration management tools. Even for a fully automated solution, you can integrate the PowerShell with any of the tools like VRO, Scotch, others. If you have Ansible in your environment, you can make use of the Ansible playbook for the end-to-end solution. Is the tools and all is you can perform the fully automated solution with using PowerShell script itself. We don't have any limited scope. The thing is the tools availability. If you have the tools in your environment, you can make use of PowerShell within the tools. If you don't have any tools, no issues. We can use PowerShell directly to perform a fully automated solution. So how do we perform? So let's take one example.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah,
can you explain me once again the orchestration and how it is being used?
Okay, all right. So orchestration means orchestra. So what do you think about orchestra? So in the orchestra, I see a music, right? So they will play some music tools in the proper way, right? Start to end. So the same way, orchestration tools means each vendor having its own orchestration tools. So example, VMware is here, VMware orchestration tools. vRelay is orchestrator name, but it's a VMware tool. Scotch is a Microsoft tool. System Center orchestrator. HP OO is a HPE product. BO is a BMC product. So likewise, we have a lot of orchestration tools available in the industry. Okay, so each tool will perform having the capability of integrating or connecting multiple tools and scripting. I'm taking example of VRO. It's a VMware orchestrator, right? So I'm taking one of the example. So in the orchestration tool, we can create a workflow. So in the workflow means start to end. So from start to end, what we supposed to achieve? For example, I'm going to perform server build automation. It's a virtual server build automation. Okay, so this is my requirement. If I'm using VRO workflow, I can create a workflow for the server build, automation with various steps. So whatever the input, for example, the user information, based on the information, it will first validate the inputs, whether they selected the correct OS, correct t-shirt size, CPU, memory, storage. So it will validate the input first. Once everything is okay, then it will go to the corresponding OS template. So if they selected Windows 2019 or 2012, so it will go and fetch the OS template, and it will deploy the machine. And after once it's successfully built, it's supposed to add into the domain. So all those steps, right? Each and every steps will be added as a script, or it will be invoked. We have a lot of elements actually in the workflow. The script element will create a will be used to integrate scripting, PowerShell script, and shell script we can integrate. And also we have some validation element to validate the result. Whether the script failed, then it will show the error. The script succeeded, it will go to the next steps. So for the entire solution, we have to break point into subtask. So once you divided the subtasks, you have to implement in the in the workflow. So which step going to first? So once you deployed the machine, once you verified the input from the customer, and you have to go to the OS selection, and once you filter the OS, and you have to deploy the machine, and once you've deployed, and it's supposed to go to the post configuration jobs like domain addition, EAD creation, update creation, and also SCOM addition, backup creation, user account creation, file system creation. It's a lot of post configuration jobs, right? So some default antivirus and also some tools supposed to install. Those level of jobs supposed to run. So in case if anything got failed, you have to report it. So you have to make all those things into the you have to store all those failure as well in the one log file, and at the end you have to show, or you have to email all those logs information. What are the successful case, what are the failure? So if you want to stop something, so once you successfully build the server, then only the post configuration job supposed to run, right? In case if it is not deployed properly, you no need to run the remaining jobs. You have to halt the job, you have to stop the execution, you have to return back and say due to some reason it's not deploying the servers. So on this use case, so you can make use of PowerShell, uh, you know, for post configurations and you can make use of PowerShell. You heard about PowerShell? PowerShell is one of the module for VM related operations. So we have in module 18 or 17 or 18 we have related with the AD and VM related automation. So on that time we can learn about PowerShell. But the PowerShell will can use it for VM related automation. So if you want to build the server, you can use PowerShell as well. So if you want to verify the deployment, you can use the commands which is related to that. Okay. So hope you got it. If you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So as I said before, we and these tools, if you have, you can make use of PowerShell within the tool. If you don't have any tools in your environment, you directly use the PowerShell to perform semi-automated and fully automated solutions for your requirement. So whatever you're doing on the regular basis, this kind of administration work, reporting work, whatever it may be for the day-to-day operation. So if from Windows team, if you are from Intel, VMware team, if you are from Unix team, some other track. So you have to find out the use case based on your day-to-day activities. Either if you are in L3 or L4, so you have to take some L1 task first, and then you can able to create a script. And if we have tools like configuration management tool or orchestration tools, you can integrate and you can make use of the tool to integrate the PowerShell script and to perform the semi-automated or fully automated. So one of the use cases, as I said, is a server deployment. So we can perform end-to-end automation. And on the other hand, patching activity we can perform end-to-end when integrating multiple tools like SCCM, uh, PowerShell, all those things we can make within the orchestration. We can make use of end-to-end automation. So patching we can perform. So server deployment. So a lot of thing we can perform using PowerShell and orchestration tools. So PowerShell is very important. It's not only for Windows, for the infra. So we can, once we learn PowerShell, we can use the PowerShell code, for the entire automation. Not only the scripting, for the solutioning as well.
Napoleon, is there any certification for PowerShell?
Okay, so we don't have any separate certification for PowerShell, but when it comes to Azure certificate and Microsoft certificate, we might have a few questions from PowerShell.
Okay, yes, there is no separate.
No separate certificate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understood.
Okay, so on the fully solution, we have few other use cases as well. So for ticketing, we are getting some request from the ticketing ITSM tools like ServiceNow, Remedy. Without any manual intervention, PowerShell can able to monitor the tickets, using web interaction. We have API interaction, API management using PowerShell. We can use PowerShell as a separately, or else we can use orchestration and other tools as well. But if you don't have any tools, you can use PowerShell itself for fully automated solution to monitor the incidents from the ticketing tools. And so once you fetch the information from the tools, you can analyze and do the validation, and you can perform the remediations using the PowerShell itself, and you can, once the remediation verified, and then you can update the logs and you can close the ticket without any manual intervention. So we can achieve the fully automated solution using PowerShell itself. There are a lot of opportunities and also requirement we can able to complete using PowerShell scripts.
Sure, Napoli. And Minwell, I have one more question. So, how this course has been designed? I mean, when you are teaching, I mean, uh, do you ask us to create some commands or complex scripts, something like that? Will it be like interactive, something like that, or how it will be?
Okay, so we defined from the scratch actually. So since most of them not from the programming background, development background, right? So we designed to start from the scratch, and also it's a kind of interactive session. So, and also if we need a lab, we can do it. On the I will give the exercise. You can work it out. Others I will show on the screen. You just ask the question if you have, and you can work it on later, and you can come with the questions on the next day.
Okay, you will be giving the scenario, and we will be creating a script.
Yeah.
Based on
So
that, we will be having.
yeah. For each module we have a command, we have a scripts actually. So I will explain each module on my screen. So I have lot of code scripts, and also for each concept we will have some related questions, and I will we will give the use case in real time. What is the use of it, what is the use in the industry, and also we will give the information about the interview point of view.
Okay.
Apart
Right.
from this, if you have any question, you can ask me during this session, and also we recording and all available. So once you and also we will share the code whatever I am explaining in the notepad, or explaining in the script in the ISC. I will share it you guys, so you can take it as an example, or you can take it as a reference, and you can learn yourself before. If any doubts or clarification, you can ping me in the WhatsApp group, and also we can connect in the next class. We can have explanation. Okay. And also you just whatever you are learning on the regular class, so you have to type it your end so that you can understand the syntax error. So when it comes to scripting, you have to know two things, right? So one is syntax. Am I right? Syntax. So we have to know the syntax first. Whatever the languages are scripting, you have to know the syntax. The second is logic. So if you know syntax of the particular programming or scripting, you can, and also you know the logic how to derive the requirement, so you can achieve the scripting. So the so PowerShell script is a syntax is very easy when compared to other programming languages and also other scripting languages. It's very easy to understand the syntax. You no need to give any data type at all. When when it comes to other languages, you have to give the data type, but here no need to type data type, no need to give semicolon at the end of the line. So very simple when compared to other programming actually. And the logic, whatever you are doing on the regular day to day, you are just converting all those SOPs, right? This SOPs, you know, so you are just converting all those SOP into the scripting. So when it comes to logic, you just convert all those SOP into the logic. So how to validate, how to iterate when comes to more than one server, how to iterate using looping. So we will learn about all those things actually. Why we need a variable, why we go to variable, what is array. So if you want to run multiple servers, if you want to shut down 100 servers at a time, how to perform. If you want to restart 10 servers, if you want to fetch details from 100 servers, how to get it. So parallelly how to execute, serially, sequentially how to fetch it. So all those information we can learn actually. Right. Any questions?
Yeah, no questions, Napoleon.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. All right. So just a recap today's one. So we learned about what is PowerShell and what are the versions available, and we have to take the stable one. The latest version is 7.3. So how to download the PowerShell? We learned the Windows machine comes with the default, since it's based on the .NET framework. It's already available on the OS, so that's why it comes with the default. Suppose if you want to upgrade, you can upgrade the PowerShell. So how to check the PowerShell version? Using $PS version table, you can able to find the PowerShell version. So I am going to type PowerShell. So here I can type $PS. So $PS version table. If I enter, I will get the information. So the PS version is 5.1. Okay. Okay. So each version having its own number of commandlets. So the existing versions will have might have few commandlets, but when it comes to latest one, they might extended the features and they given additional commandlets for ease of use. Okay, so a lot of features available with the latest versions. And so when it comes to editor, we have multiple options. Can use PowerShell ISE, and Visual Studio Code also we can use. So we learned how to use ISE and Visual Studio Code. So how to execute ISE, fully execution and partial execution, and how to set the breakpoint in order to debug the code. When issue comes in, we have to set the breakpoint, and we have to click on F5. It will execute and it will stop the execution on the breakpoint. So if you have to execute line by line, you have to use F10, and also you can use F11. Okay, so you can use F10 as well, but the difference is F11 will execute line by line, F10 will execute line by line, but it will skip the looping. So if you have any looping commands, so it will skip that one, which mean two lines are the it's a block. The block of code will be executed at once actually. You can see it later. That. Okay, so when it comes to if you want to perform automation, so you need dedicated servers. dedicated system, and also it's supposed to have a system admin rights and also service account to in order to communicate with the other servers, and also email notification. You need SMTP and under address server actually. Okay, so why we need automation? So it's a cost-effective, time savings, and avoid human errors and all, right? So that's why we are going with the automation. So PowerShell is a major, advancement. We can make use of PowerShell for almost all the tracks, including storage, backup, database, monitoring, cloud, and all. We can use PowerShell. It's not only with the Windows. As I said, we have a lot of use cases for other tracks. You can make use of PowerShell. Since it's object-oriented, so what is object-oriented? We learn, right? So object, everything is a object. So example I created with the car as a object, and also maths as a object. So for the mathematical, how we are creating methods and all. So this is not we are directly going to use in PowerShell. This is the schema which is already available. We are just we are just invoking those methods and properties. We are not going to create anything. So I shown you how the data available on the PowerShell. So how to call the methods and how to properties. We will get into detail later classes. Okay, so we have two levels of automation we can achieve it. It's a semi-automated solution and also fully automated solutions. So as I said, semi-automated, which requires some manual intervention. So for example, if you are performing patching activity, you can split it to three levels. One is pre-patching and patching, and then post-patching. So pre-patching, you can create a separate script to fetch all those details, and patching is a main task to perform the patching is from the SCCM or BigFix, whatever your tool have, you can perform the patching. If you don't have any tools, if you are doing manually, you can create a script as well. And also for once completed, you can create a script for post patching activity. So you can combine all those things in this single script, or else you can create a separate script with the manual execution. It's up to you and based on your requirement. So if you have a tool called orchestration tools, DevOps tools like Ansible, Puppet, Scotch, VRO. If you have already in place, you can make use of the tools to integrate the PowerShell code to perform end-to-end automation and also semi-automated solutions. So automation is not the limited one. You can use the PowerShell script for for your requirement. So what we need when it comes to scripting, you need to know the syntax and also how to frame the logic. Those things we need in order to create a script. So as I said before, PowerShell is very simple to learn and use. You don't need to understand the programming languages, data types, everything actually. But since we are going to start from the scratch, from help system, what is commandlet, how to use, how to find what are the types of parameters, how to find it, what is variable, what is method, how to run, how to create, all those things we are going to start from the basics. So you no need to worry about background of development. You don't have any programming skill set. That's not a problem for PowerShell. So and also if you need any clarity, you can stop me anytime. You can ask me, or else you can post in the WhatsApp chat, or we can discuss later point of time. Yep. Yep. So that's all we have for today. Stan, you have anything? Okay, I think Stan is not here. All right. So anyone having any questions? Like anything you want to ask? What's your expectation? Hope you have seen the modules.
Yes,